Good morning and welcome to News at 10 on Rajya Sabha TV. I am Aishwarya Kapoor. Well, India has said clearly to Pakistan, action on Pathankot first, talks later. Well, that is the big story that we are tracking this morning. Also, internationally, US and world stock markets have slided. Dow Jones and S&P are off to their worst four-day January start ever. We'll get you all the details, but let us begin with the headlines. On foreign secretary level talks, India says the ball is in Pakistan's court, seeks clear and decisive action on the Pathankot air base attack. Day after Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Mufti Mohammad Saeed was laid to rest, decks cleared to choose his daughter Mehbooba Mufti as his successor. NDA government reaches out on GST. Main opposition Congress dismisses effort, calling it mere optics. And world markets feel the impact of the Chinese equities crash. Dow Jones Industrial Average loses 2.32% market value. The top story, India is considering whether or not to go ahead with the foreign secretary level talks with Pakistan. Now, the government says it will all depend on how Pakistan would respond to the attack at the Pathankot air base. Take a look.
India is putting the onus of holding foreign secretary level talks on Pakistan. It says the talks will depend on a decisive response in the Pathankot terror attack. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Vikas Swarup told a news conference that the militant attack renewed focus on cross-border terrorism.
The terrorist attack on the Pathankot air base has once again put renewed focus on the challenge posed by cross-border terrorism. As far as we are concerned, the ball is now in Pakistan's court. The immediate issue in front of us is Pakistan's response to the terrorist attack and the actionable intelligence that has been provided to it.
6 militants who attacked the Indian Air Force base in Pathankot were neutralized after a 4-day-long operation. Swarup said Prime Minister Narendra Modi has had a conversation with his Pakistani counterpart Nawaz Sharif, urging action.
During that conversation, our Prime Minister very strongly urged the Prime Minister of Pakistan to take action. Actionable intelligence in regard to the terrorist attack and the links with the perpetrators in Pakistan was provided to the Pakistani side. The Pakistani Prime Minister promised us prompt and decisive action. We now await that prompt and decisive action.
India is accusing Pakistan of arming militants and infiltrating them across the line of control, dividing Kashmir. Pakistan assured India that they would help in fighting militancy, especially after Modi's surprise visit to Pakistan on Sharif's birthday. However, attempts are underway by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Nawaz Sharif to improve historically fraught relations between the two nuclear-armed neighbors. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in related news, army and police personnel carried out searches in Gurdaspur after local residents claimed that they spotted 2 militants. The presence of the militants could not, however, be confirmed. In a related development, Pathankot Indian Air Force Station Commanding Air Officer Air Commodore J.S. Damoon declared that the operation to sanitize the Pathankot air base was close to completion. He also praised the timely and precise intelligence input for the success of the operation.
इनके बारे में अभी कुछ पता नहीं लगा है, लेकिन हम चाहे वो इन्फॉर्मेशन गलत हो चाहे सही हो, हम उसको सही मान करके चल रहे हैं और प्रोफेशनल तरीके से उसको डील कर रहे हैं.
Effective use of our air assets that was made possible by the deployment of 800 army troops in the technical area alone. These air assets were used to keep the area under surveillance to ensure early detection, isolation and subsequent engagement by own troops.
Now to other news. Well, amidst the stalemate over the GST bill, the NDA government once again reached out to the main opposition, Congress, seeking its support. The Congress, however, has termed the government's efforts as mere optics.
Aiming to get its key economic reform measure, the GST bill, cleared during the budget session, the NDA government once again reached out to the Congress on Thursday. Parliamentary Affairs Minister M. Venkaiah Naidu called on Congress Chief Sonia Gandhi seeking her support for the passage of the crucial bill.
Congress have raised 3 issues. Those issues have been addressed by the finance minister, has been communicated to the Congress party. So I suggested to the Congress president that they should discuss it and then get back to the government at the earliest so that we can move forward in the larger interests of country. The Congress president told me that they will discuss it among themselves.
The Congress, meanwhile, expressed its willingness to pass the bill but termed the efforts made by the government as mere optics.
We do not want to put any hurdles. We have made public what we consider to be reasonable issues that must be resolved before the GST is put in place. The 1% issue, the capping issue, and the dispute resolution issue. So they are not willing to compromise. और इसकी असलियत आपको बता दूं। उसका रीजन ये है कि स्वदेशी जागरण मंच और आरएसएस इसके खिलाफ है और आरोप कांग्रेस पार्टी पे लगा रहे हैं।
This is the second major outreach by the government to the top Congress leadership on the GST bill. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had met his predecessor Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi over tea at his residence on November 27th last year to try and bring an end to the stalemate. Congress has sought 3 changes to the proposed bill. With inputs from Pranab Goswami and Vishal Daya, Bureau Report for Rajya Sabha TV.
News from Jammu and Kashmir. Mufti Mohammad Saeed's daughter and PDP President Mehbooba Mufti is all set to become the next Chief Minister of the state. Now she will be the first woman Chief Minister of the state. A party delegation met Governor N.N. Vora on Thursday at the Raj Bhavan in Srinagar and handed over a letter saying that PDP MLAs unanimously backed her as the new Chief Minister of the state. However, it is not yet clear when she will be sworn in as the new Chief Minister. PDP's coalition partner BJP had left it to the PDP to choose its nominee for the post of Chief Minister.
अगर पीडीपी को खड़ा किया किसी ने तो महबूबा और उनके फादर साहब जो अभी नहीं रहे, ये बड़ी कुर्बानी है इनकी, मैं आपको कह सकता हूं। अगर हक की बात करें तो उसका तो हक बनता है, सीधी सी बात है, उसका हक बनता है। पीडीपी में कोई राय नहीं है। तो जहां तक हमारा बीजेपी का सवाल है, हमारा उनसे अलायंस है, प्रोग्रेस पे, डेवलपमेंट पे, वो हमारा है और हमने खुद उनको तय किया है कि उनकी पार्टी से सीएम और हमारी पार्टी से डिप्टी सीएम।
And in Breakfast News, we'll take a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Tales that inspire, stories of social change. A salute to diversity, promoting public discourse. Events that motivate, inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries every Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 12:30 p.m. and Sunday at 1 p.m.
Welcome back, and in the weather update, well, people battled icy winds in most parts of North India as cold wave conditions prevailed in many cities. The cold winds coming from the northwest direction has led to drop in temperatures in many North Indian cities. In Amritsar, residents had a tough time fighting the cold on Wednesday as they sat around bonfires to keep themselves warm. Amritsar recorded a minimum temperature of 8 degrees Celsius on Wednesday. People said that the cold wave is making it difficult for them to commute in the morning, especially for school children. Well, the Chhattisgarh government on a Thursday submitted its report to the Election Commission into the surfacing of an audio tape which suggested financial inductment behind the Congress candidate withdrawing from the fray in an assembly by-poll last year. The EC action had come after a media report about the audio tape containing purported conversations between senior Congress leader and former Chief Minister of Chhattisgarh, Ajit Jogi, his son Amit Jogi and Puneet Gupta, who is the son-in-law of Chief Minister Raman Singh, to allegedly fix the Antagarh by-poll which was held in 2014. Amit Jogi was expelled from Congress for 6 years this week. And in other news, well, the government is considering a law to prohibit electoral trusts from accepting funds from foreign sources. Now, this is in response to the Election Commission's proposal for a specific law to prohibit electoral trusts from transferring foreign funds to political parties. Well, the law will be in compliance with the provisions of the Section 29B of the Representation of the People's Act. At present, electoral trusts can raise funds from foreign sources because they are not expressly prohibited under the law. Meanwhile, the government is merging the Ministry of Overseas Indian Affairs with the External Affairs Ministry in line with the broad principle of minimum government and maximum governance. The MOIA was established in May 2004 to improve engagement with the Indian diaspora. The proposal for the merger was cleared by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, who also holds charge of the Overseas Indian Affairs Ministry. Well, according to the MEA, the decision will help avoid any duplication and also delay in various works. Accordingly, the MEA will celebrate Pravasi Bharatiya Divas, the flagship event of the MOIA. Well, the central government has sanctioned formation of an anti-corruption zone to expedite investigations and trial in the multi-crore Vyapam scam. The centre had sanctioned 321 posts for the investigation, in which 237 personnel from the rank of Constable to Deputy Inspector General of Police will be recruited. In addition, 20 legal officers and 64 clerical staffers will also be recruited in the zone to be headquartered in Delhi. The zone will be set up in the current fiscal. CBI has registered 112 cases against more than 2,000 accused, including high-level officials and politicians in the multi-layered scam. However, the investigative agency is facing manpower crunch to provide investigations and trial into the scam. News from Uttar Pradesh, where the ruling Samajwadi Party has registered a massive victory in the Panchayat chairman elections by winning in 60 out of 74 districts. The figures included 36 districts, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi's constituency Varanasi, BJP State Chief Lakshmikant Bajpayee's constituency Meerut, and also Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi's constituency Amethi. While the BJP won 7 seats, Mayawati's BSP could only win in 4 seats. The Congress, however, could only register victory in 2 seats, including Rai Bareli. The opposition, meanwhile, alleged rigging and misuse of government machinery during the polls. Let's take a look at the events that are lined up for the day in the day ahead. The Supreme Court will hear the petition of Arunachal Speaker Rabam Rebia, who was removed from his post by rebel MLAs. On 6th of January, Rebia had reached out to the Apex Court challenging the dismissal of one of his pleas by the Guwahati High Court. The Supreme Court will hear petitions in Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha's disproportionate assets case. The Apex Court had agreed to conduct day-to-day hearing on appeals filed against the Karnataka High Court judgment, acquitting Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Jayalalitha and 3 others in the disproportionate assets case. A local court in Jodhpur will give its order on the bail plea of self-styled godman Asaram, who is in jail in connection with the rape case for the last 2 years. The 74-year-old has been accused, in fact, he has been refused relief on 6 occasions earlier and was sent to jail in August 2013 for allegedly sexually assaulting a 16-year-old schoolgirl. A section of public sector banks employees will observe a one-day strike across India to protest violation of a bilateral settlement agreement by Associate Banks of State Bank of India. The strike is called by the All India Bank Employees Association. Private sector banks and country's largest lender SBI will, however, continue to function normally. With another break in here, up ahead all the international news and sports news. Keep watching Breakfast News.
Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of World Panorama with me, Frank Pereira.
Barack Obama has been elected on the basis that I will no longer take America into wars, and in fact, quite the opposite, I will pull America out of wars.
According to the Indian government, fishermen are not at fault.
The US intervention in Iraq set the stage for exacerbation of these conflicts, and then the intervention in Syria.
Watch World Panorama at these times on Rajya Sabha television.
Hello and a warm welcome to It's My Life, the program that brings you face to face with country's top politicians.
You know, I've been flying for a very long time. It's a passion of mine.
You miss the Western outfits, absolutely, I do.
I have always been telling her, wear Punjabi suit.
You can't be a successful MP without your wife.
I can't be successful anything without my wife.
मैं तो चला जिधर चले रास्ता.
My wife, Dr. Prachi, was also prisoner in the other prison.
अगर मैं बोलूं मिठाई,
Karachi halwa.
comedian.
जाने वाला.
Join a journey to know your leaders better on It's My Life, only on Rajya Sabha television. Welcome back onto the big international story. And yesterday's 7% drop in the Chinese markets gave US markets their worst start to the year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed down with 392.41 points or 2.32% to 16,514.1. The Nasdaq Composite also dropped 146.34 points or 3.03% to 4,689.43. The Dow has lost 5.2% since the end of 2015 in the worst first 4 trading days since the 30 stock index's creation. Investors also braced for Friday's US government jobs report that could show how well insulated the US economy is from international stress. Meanwhile, India will continue to be the bright spot of the global economy this year as well. The World Bank has projected that Indian economy would grow at a robust 7.8% in the fiscal year 2016-17. Strong investor sentiment and the positive effect of the recent fall in oil prices will propel the growth engine of India.
The World Bank has given Indian economy reasons to cheer this year. In its report, Global Economic Prospects, the bank projected Indian economy to grow at 7.8% in 2016-17 and 7.9% in the next 2 years. It, however, marginally reduced India's growth rate by 0.2% in 2015 and 0.1% in both 2016 and 2017. Despite that, India continues to be the bright spot of the global economy. Meanwhile, the World Bank estimates that China grew at an estimated 6.9% in 2015 and is estimated to grow at 6.7% in 2016. The world economy as a whole would grow at 2.9%, it says, a modest upturn from 2.4% growth estimated for 2015. Industry captains feel that investment in infrastructure will augur well for the economic growth projections.
We have to develop the infra. These infra finance companies, they have built up an expertise over the years. So if they can be levered and they can be built up and supported, I think it can go a long way in building the infrastructure and bringing in investment in the sector.
World Bank also pointed out that India's currency and stock markets were largely resilient over the past year, even during bouts of volatility in the global financial markets. However, on the home turf, exporters have voiced concerns over the constant decline in exports and urged the government to remove bottlenecks.
Custom duty on the raw material should be reduced. I mean, then there is no competition. It is very difficult for the manufacturer. So these irritants should be removed.
The World Bank expects Russia and Brazil to remain in recession in 2016, while Pakistan's economy is expected to grow at around 4.5%. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha Television.
And South Korea will resume propaganda broadcasts into North Korea in response to Pyongyang's claims to have successfully tested a hydrogen bomb. The broadcasts were stopped in late August last year as one of the measures to ease animosities between the two Koreas. And this comes even as North Korea is marking the day with celebrations for its leader Kim Jong-un's birthday today. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un turns 33 today, and apparently he has plenty to celebrate. Despite international skepticism on its first hydrogen bomb test, Pyongyang is upbeat, planning the day ahead with celebrations. However, on this day, South Korea will resume cross-border propaganda broadcasts that Pyongyang considers act of war. Loudspeakers are positioned in secret locations along the border and are used to deliver outside news to North Korean soldiers and residents in the area. Seoul has also begun talks with Washington that could see the arrival of nuclear-powered US submarines and warplanes to the Korean peninsula.
1월 8일 정오를 기해 대북 확성기 방송을 전면 재개하기로 결정하였다. 우리 군은 만반의 대비 태세를 유지하고 있으며 만일 북한이 도발할 경우
In response to the nuclear test, the United Nations has drawn up new measures against North Korea. US, South Korea and Japan have agreed to work together to forge a united and strong international response to the test. US also said it wants to work closely with China to determine the best response.
Obviously, the nation of China wields more influence over the North Korean regime than probably any other country in the world. And we certainly want to work closely with them to determine an appropriate response.
我想强调的是，半岛核问题由来已久，错综复杂。中方呢也一贯主张在六方会谈的框架下，通过对话解决各方的合理关切，那么实现半岛的无核化和长治久安。
Experts say the estimated power of Wednesday's blast fell far short of what would be expected from a hydrogen bomb. At the moment, the US and nearby countries, including Japan, are carrying out tests to give clues as to what kind of device was tested. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Well, news from the Middle East, and the Syrian government has agreed to allow aid to the besieged rebel-held village of Madaya amid reports of residents starving to death. Now, some of the estimated 30,000 people who are trapped in the village have been forced to eat grass. Their future remains uncertain in the run-up to the proposed peace talks in Geneva on 25th of January. Children and skeletal old men eating nothing but grass. A kilo of rice costing more than $100. People dying from starvation. Grim conditions are being reported from Madaya, 25 kilometers from Damascus and 11 kilometers from the border with Lebanon. The town has been besieged since early July by government forces and Hezbollah, its Lebanese ally.
يا عمو قديش صار لك بالاكل؟
7 أيام.
قول والله العظيم.
والله العظيم.
The United Nations on Thursday said the Syrian government agreed to allow 8 convoys into the besieged city of Madaya and in 2 others, Foa and Kefraya. Medicine Sans Frontier says 23 people died of hunger since 1st of December and more people are at risk. In a statement, UN says, we are particularly concerned about the plight of nearly 4 lakh people besieged by parties to the conflict in locations such as Deir ez-Zor province in eastern Syria, the Raya, Foa and Kefraya. Experts say the blockade is the regime's strategy to put pressure on rebels in the north who are blockading Kefraya and Foa towns. The Lebanese Hezbollah, which is active on the ground besieging Madaya, has dismissed the furor as campaign of distortion by the opposition. But in this game of like-for-like brutality, it is the civilians who are caught in the middle. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And more international news and updates now in World Wrap. At least 50 people were killed and 100 injured by a truck bomb targeting a police training center in the western Libyan city of Zlitan. The bomb detonated at the Al Jafal training camp as around 400 recruiters were gathering in the early morning session. In a separate attack, a suicide bomber killed 6 people at the entrance to Las Lanouf. which is a major oil port in the north of the country. French police shot dead a man who was trying to attack a police station on the anniversary of the Charlie Hebdo attacks. The suspect was carrying a meat cleaver and wearing a dummy suicide vest. A piece of paper found on his body pledged allegiance to Islamic State and vowed revenge for French attacks in Syria. Last year, gunmen murdered 17 people in the attacks, including at Charlie Hebdo magazine and at a Jewish supermarket. The company behind a massive gas leak in California has denied it is responsible for an environmental catastrophe. SoCalGas said that it was working to stop the leak, though it could take weeks. The leak began in October in a vast underground storage field in Porter Ranch on the outskirts of Los Angeles. And on to cricket now. Well, the Indian team will get into the groove for the short limited over series against Australia with a couple of warm-up games against the Western Australia 11 at the WSCA ground at Perth on Friday and Saturday. The first match will be a T20 with the Western Australia 11, and tomorrow MS Dhoni and company will play a 50-over match against the same opposition. Now, many players of WA11, also known as the Scorchers, are currently playing in the Big Bash League. None of their first team players will be available for the match. India began their campaign against Australia in the 5-match ODI series on 12th of January. And more sporting action now in Sportsbeat. Indian football team moved up 3 rungs to occupy 163rd spot in the FIFA rankings issued on Thursday on the back of its SAF Cup title triumph. India had beaten Afghanistan 2-1 in the summit clash on 3rd of January in Thiruvananthapuram to lift the SAF Cup. For the overall, Belgium continued to lead the on his candidacy from the race for the presidency of soccer's scandal-plagued governing body, FIFA. Platini, the head of the European soccer body UEFA, was handed an 8-year-old ban from the game, along with outgoing FIFA president Sepp Blatter, by the federation's independent ethics committee on 21st of December for their alleged involvement in corruption charges. Lionel Messi scored twice as Barcelona came from behind to beat Espanyol in the first leg of their Copa del Rey pre-quarter-finals. Barca went ahead in the 9th minute, but Messi equalized and then put the Catalans ahead with a free kick. He also assisted the 2 other goals. The second leg of the tie will now be played on 13th of January. Well, that's all in this edition of news. Thanks for your time.